Brent Lee. Thanks for joining us on the mother of all talk shows. First of all, tell us what it was like for you down the rabbit hole, as you put it, and what it's like now out here in the blinding light.
Hi, George. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
When I was down the rabbit hole, it was all consuming. It was every thought that I had. Like, I actually thought the entire world was run through a global satanic cabal. You know, it just dominated every aspect of what the world was to me. And now, out of it, it feels very liberating to not have this oppressive fantasy ruling my world.
You see, I've never been down the rabbit hole, so I'm interested in what life was like down there, and you've written about it, and you've got a podcast, Some Dare Call It Conspiracy, which I'm sure will be illuminating. But just because everything is not a conspiracy, it doesn't, of course, mean that nothing is a conspiracy. I mean, there are certain things that are now accepted almost universally as having been a conspiracy. The murder of President Kennedy, for example, on Elm Street in November of 1963. The Northwood operation, where the United States planned to blow up an airliner, killing its own people, and blame it on the Cuban government of Fidel Castro. These are just two. I could give you many, many more, but in the interest of time, why not respond to my point there?
What I would say is, yeah, of course, conspiracies happen. Like, the word exists, so we know the act exists. What I'd touch on with Operation Northwoods, though, is like nothing actually happened. It was an idea. It was an idea, a plot to do it, and it didn't actually happen. So no conspiracy occurred. So I don't actually understand why that gets brought up as any type of argument, other than, yeah,
well,
military
it
hawks
wasn't
will
just a
do
man on the
something.
street. Yeah, well, look, it wasn't a man on the street that came up with it. It was presented to the president himself that it should
And he
be
rejected
done
it.
at the very highest level of, and he rejected it. But there was clearly a conspiracy to do it, to plan it. But leave that aside. Let's talk about the president who rejected it. What happened to him? I forget.
Oh, yeah, that I don't know. I don't know yet. See, the thing is like I said earlier, my idea was that the world was run by a global cabal. Okay. It was more similar to like the beliefs that like people like David Icke promote. The Illuminati, New World Order, deep state, sort of QAnon style of conspiracism. That's what I believed in. So I had to break that down. Okay, that's the first sort of thing that I broke down, where I don't believe in an Illuminati anymore. No secret society is running the entire globe. And what I had to do is start going through the different conspiracy theories that built up this Jenga block of my belief system, essentially. And JFK is not one of them that I've got to yet. I don't know what happened. I know what I used to think, but I need to go back into it. And that's like the point of the podcast. I want people to share this journey with me, go through the evidence, go through and find out what the truth is. Where does the truth actually lie?
How did these callow Arab aviation students, none of whom shone in training in their little local and regional flying schools, who attained poor marks, how did they manage to fly a plane into the low-rise building at the Pentagon?
I don't see a air-to-ground maneuver as being that rare anymore. I mean, planes do it all the time. I just look at it now as the guy was landing the plane, essentially. It doesn't take a rocket scientist just to see that he was landing it. That's what I can see now. And besides that, It's definitely a plane that hits
Well, the
the
point is you
Pentagon.
can't see it, isn't it, Brent? Isn't isn't that the point, that you can't see, that none of us can see, that in the headquarters of the United States military, there is no footage of an aircraft hitting the Pentagon. All there is a flash.
There is footage, George.
Almost at ground level. There's a flash at ground level, but there's no parts of the plane. So we can't see. Why have you done this 180 turn on the
there
Pentagon?
There is wreckage. That's the thing, John. That's the thing, see, George. There is wreckage inside the Pentagon. There is wreckage outside of the Pentagon. There's hundreds of eyewitnesses that saw the plane strike. There's hundreds of witnesses that helped in the cleanup. And there's dozens of people that were injured by jet fuel. That doesn't happen if it was a missile. The problem is that most like 9/11 conspiracy theory documentaries aren't showing you the actual evidence. If you go and look at the mainstream, not even the mainstream news, but historians, authors, real journalists that have looked into this, thousands of them over the last 20 years, they show you the actual evidence, and all I had to do really was look at the other side, because I rejected even looking at the mainstream. I only listened to like people that really were pushing the 9/11 conspiracy. There is wreckage there. There were two black boxes found in the Pentagon.
Brent, haven't you just swapped one Kool-Aid for another Kool-Aid? Once upon a time,
no,
they were all liars.
Totally not.
Now they're all telling the truth?
No, because they're not all telling the truth. I guarantee that. Like, people always, they charge me with this online and say that like I'm, playing defense for the government, and I'm not. I do not like our government. I'm English. I do not like the Tory government. I don't really trust what Labour Party's become. I don't really trust the mainstream with everything. I don't trust the politicians with everything, but I also don't just distrust anything they say. I take it as it comes. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a free person, and I won't be told by anyone in authority what I should believe. I will test it myself now.